Hello and welcome to the Yankees on Deck podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cunningham, and tonight was an absolute disgrace, and that's an understatement. This team, the fact that they put out a punt lineup with Jahmai Jones and J.D. Davis batting in the cleanup spot, who, by the way, hasn't played in weeks. He fucking stinks. And you put him behind Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge gets walked how many times tonight? Three times. Aaron Judge, no, sorry, four times. Aaron Judge gets walked, and you want to know why? Because he had JD fucking Davis hitting right behind him. I mean, seriously. You knew as soon as this lineup came out tonight that they were going to lose. You knew this was going to happen. It is an absolute joke. The Yankees are a laughingstock. If George Steinbrenner were alive, someone would be fired tonight. This is a fireable offense. The fact that you put this lineup together, and Aaron Boone, don't even get me started about Aaron Boone, because that guy's a complete moron beyond belief. He's a moron. He's a pushover. I'm not even watching the post-game press conference because he's going to spew some bullshit saying, oh, it was a close game, blah, 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 blah. I don't even want to hear that shit. If you're a Yankee fan, don't even watch the press conferences because that all that nonsense that comes out of that moron's mouth. But anyway, the fact that they put out this lineup is an absolute joke. And I don't know how much blame goes around solely on the manager or the front office, but whoever is writing these lineups, because I'm not fully convinced that it's all Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone's a pushover. That guy is a complete idiot. And it's funny, too. Then, late in the game, the Yankees started making substitutions. They bring in Trent Grisham to pinch hit for Jahmai Jones. They bring in Ben Rice, who just missed having a 3-run home run. They bring in Austin Wells. Oh, isn't that ironic? So the guys that you should have been starting, you then bring in later in the game when there's a right-hander on the mound because the matchup says to do that. When you can't just start your hottest hitters to begin with, your best hitters. This is a two-man lineup, like we've been saying. It's a two-man lineup, Judge and Soto. And they don't pitch to Judge at all. They pitch to him in the ninth inning. Jake Diekman attacks him, gets him on the strikeout. Good for him. But outside of that, they don't pitch to him. And why would they? Why would they? We've been saying that over and over and over again. You have no protection behind any of these guys, and this is what happens. Anyway, let's run through the quick highlights because we have to. Otherwise, I would say, screw it. You know what? We're not even covering this. That's how much of a joke, how much of a laughingstock this game was. Yankees lose 3-2. Luis Hill got the ball today. 5 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned run. That earned run was on a hit by pitch. Look, his command was a bit iffy. He got into a lot of 3-ball counts, but he did have 6 strikeouts. ERA is now 3.10. So not a bad start for him. Our lineup just couldn't hit, as usual. For the Mets, they had Jose Quintana going for them, the left-hander. He's got over a 4 ERA, and Yankees really couldn't do anything much of substance off him. He went 5 innings, gave up 1 earned run on a Gleyber Torres solo shot back in the bottom of the second, and that was pretty much the Yankees' offense. Then the Yankees didn't score again until the bottom of the 6th with an Alex Verdugo RBI double, and that was it. So, yeah, that basically sums up the Yankees. They had 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and they were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. DJ LeMahieu, we had runners in scoring position. He grounds out, typical. And then also, let's go over the key highlights. The Yankees had second and third, less than 2 outs. I believe that was in – let me check the inning. I think it was the – 3rd or 4th inning. Oh, yeah, it was the trying to see what inning it was. But I was watching the game. I was following it on my phone. But they had second and third, less than 2 outs. And then they don't do anything, of course. Narvaez, the catcher, strikes out, and then DJ pops out. Just same typical shit with this team. Jake Diekman for the Mets, who has had trouble closing out games with his command. He comes in, he gets the job done. So, it's just the same bullshit. It's the same regurgitated crap over and over with this team. And I don't know what needs to happen to fully change it. I mean, obviously, like we've said, they need to have a historic deadline. But at the end of the day, this game was such a disgrace. I mean, let me read you the lineup, okay? I mean, you guys already know the lineup. Jahmai Jones. This guy should be in AAA. He shouldn't even be on a big league roster. He's hitting 238. He was batting leadoff, okay? Batting second, Juan Soto. Batting third, Judge. And then batting behind Judge in the cleanup spot, J.D. Davis, who was released by the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's, one of the worst teams in baseball, and statistically the worst team in baseball for the last several years. They put him in the cleanup spot. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's just we're the laughing stock of the league right now. They put him in the cleanup spot, and he was out for the last few weeks because he had stomach flu or whatever the heck he had. So you're putting him in the cleanup spot in a game you need to win when the guy hasn't played at all in the last how many days? And he stinks. So, yeah, there's that with his 216 batting average, and he was coming up to the plate, swinging at everything, pitches in the dirt, no approach, just same usual shit, hitting to double play. Yeah, and then of course, then they bring in Ben Rice for a couple of bats, halfway through the game, but it's too late at that point. You know what? Maybe you should have started the guys that aren't actually minor league scrubs and that have actually been playing good, playing better of late, like Austin Wells, Ben Rice. Maybe you should have been playing them late. I don't know. It really just blows my mind. I understand you don't have a leadoff hitter, but the fact that you're giving Jahmai Jones playing time as a DH, what are we doing? What are we doing? Really? Someone needs to be fired after this game. This isn't an exaggeration. If you know enough about this team and you watch baseball, you watch the Yankees, this is a fireable offense. This lineup tonight, it's fireable. Aaron Boone or anybody. Aaron Boone, Brian Cashman, someone in the front office, whoever decided this was a good idea to put this lineup out here needs to be canned. I'm sick of this. I'm so tired of this. And it's night after night. How many punt lineups have we seen from this organization? Everybody who was at that game tonight deserves a refund and free tickets for a future game if they decide they want to go at this rate, because this has been such a shit show. People pay good money to go to these games. Season tickets, parking is crazy high. And this is the crap you pull as an organization. You put out a punt lineup like this, man, I can't imagine George's reaction if he were alive. I mean, obviously someone would get fired. But imagine his reaction if George Steinbrenner were alive today and the owner and still running things. My goodness. It's just it makes your freaking blood boil. It really does. It really does. It makes my blood boil that the Yankees actually did this. And they put out this lineup thinking, oh, yeah, yep, we can win this game. Who knows? Maybe, someone threw out the rumor there too. Maybe they weren't thinking that because John Boy on Talking Yanks, he was saying to the 2002 Yankees, Joe Torre put out a punt lineup and Steinbrenner went ballistic, and then the next day they made a trade. Honestly, I doubt they were doing that. How stupid. Joe Torre was actually a good manager, okay? He won multiple championships with the Yankees. Aaron Boone's a puppet, and he's a freaking dumbass, all right? It wouldn't surprise me at all if they put this lineup together and one of two things either happened. Either Aaron Boone thought this was a good lineup, and yeah, let's trot these minor leaguers out there, or these guys that should be in AAA, minor league level, or he thought, no, this isn't a good lineup, but the analytics department was telling him what to do, putting the lineup together, and Aaron Boone, being the pushover that he is, has to agree with it. One of those two things either happened. Either way, Aaron Boone is an idiot because, first of all, you don't accept that, okay? If you know that that's not the lineup you should be putting out there and you're a true baseball guy, you should say, no, I'm not putting that shit lineup together. Sorry, not happening. Number two, if you do agree with that, then yeah, obviously you're a complete moron, so nothing else needs to be said. At the end of the day, multiple people are to blame. Aaron Boone, the front office, all the decision-making people behind this, putting this lineup together, ought to be ashamed of themselves. And I don't give a shit. You know what? You have the Yankees obsessed with the analytics, obsessed with the matchups. Really? When only two guys in this lineup are hitting, and you're doing matchups with guys who stink. They're terrible. They're awful. It's not like, oh yeah, we traded for this guy who actually has a decent OPS, this and that. They're looking at guys in the tiniest of sample sizes that have a slight edge in OPS against lefties than the guys that have actually been more proven in hitting of late. And they're like, yep, that's the move. That's the move. That's what the computer tells me to do. This is coming from the geeks in the front office, the analytical nerds that are seeing this, and yep, the computer's telling me to do that. Let's do that. That's part of my belief, and that's what I think. Partially, Aaron Boone agrees with that, and he goes along with that because he's a puppet and he's an idiot, and he just wants to save face and wants his job. And then there's other times too. I think Aaron maybe does have a little bit more say, and he just agrees with it because he doesn't want to get fired. Or maybe he does actually believe some of these things. I don't know, but he's an idiot either way for either agreeing with it or not agreeing with it, but not doing anything about it. I mean, you can't say otherwise. And Brian Cashman, my goodness, I mean, you agree with this? I mean, obviously it's very clear that the Yankees need to have the best deadline, not just the best deadline in Major League Baseball, but one of the best deadlines in history. I mean, it's unbelievable that you can trot out this lineup with when our key guys, outside of Judge and Soto, at the beginning of the year, we had Verdugo hitting, we had Volpe hitting, we had Torres hitting. When we're not having any of those other guys that should be key parts of the lineup hitting, and then you trot out a lineup like this, what a joke. An absolute joke. I mean, you can't take this team seriously. And Brian Cashman has to be sitting there and be thinking, my goodness, I'm left with this team over $300 million payroll. Well, guess what, Brian? You assembled the team. So you know what? You get a fair share of blame yourself. You assembled this team over $300 million payroll, second highest payroll in highest payroll in Major League Baseball. You accept a lot of this blame too, okay? A lot of the blame goes on Aaron Boone, goes on Brian Cashman, the Yankees scouting department that's done an absolute terrible job the last several years evaluating talent and bringing up quality major league players on the big league roster. I mean, there's plenty of blame that goes around. And here's the other problem too. I'm going to pull it up right now. Oh, no, let me say this first, though. So here's a stat coming out tonight from River Ever Blues on Twitter. Jahmai Jones and J.D. Davis are a combined 0 for 6 tonight with 4 strikeouts and a grounder into double play. They've taken 14 swings and whiffed 9 times. These are the players the Yankees choose to bat around Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. Amazing quote right there. And it's true. It's absolutely true. The fact that you think that these are guys you should be putting ahead or behind of Judge and Soto is comical. It's insane. And I'm speechless partially on it. Speechless because honestly, it makes me partially believe, almost somewhat think maybe the John Boy theory is true, where he's thinking, maybe the Yankees are pulling a 2002 where Joe Torre wanted to piss him off, and tell him, yep, this is how bad the team is right now and put a punt lineup out there. But the part of me that doesn't believe that is because Aaron Boone, first of all, he always defends his players. Joe Torre was a tough manager. You know what? Joe Torre didn't bullshit. You know what? He was hard on his players. He held them accountable when he needed to. And that's why you had guys in the locker room like Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, that didn't mess around. If a guy was out of line, they would go up to him and say, hey, man, that's not how we do it in New York. David Justice, he was the same way. And you can look up all these stories. But do the Yankees have that kind of guy in the clubhouse? I understand Aaron Judge is the captain, but we don't really know behind the scenes. Does Aaron Judge, pull a guy aside and say, look, like say Verdugo or, when Grisham wasn't hustling, do you think after the game Judge really goes up to him and pulls him aside and say, hey, we don't do that in New York? I don't know, but we knew that for a while with guys like Jeter and Posada. I don't know that about Aaron Judge. And clearly a lot of the guys on the team don't have that attitude because Nestor Cortez came out one day and saying, we despite us being the worst team in baseball, he's like, yeah, we're still in it. We're just a game and a half out. I mean, you got to be kidding me. The total complacency and accepting of this crap. Meanwhile, us fans empty our pockets year after year after year. And this is the kind of garbage we have to put up with constantly. I don't know how pissed Hal Steinbrenner is, honestly, because I want to pull up Yankees attendance. The Yankees have been doing great in attendance, despite being the worst team in Major League Baseball these last couple months. And I had the tweet. I lost it. So Brian Oak tweeted out, 47,453 fans here at Yankee Stadium tonight. The Yankees have had paid crowds of 40,000 plus fans for 22 consecutive home games. That's 22 games in a row. So the Yankees are doing pretty good right now. It's summer. Kids are out of school. People are taking time off from work. They're like, hey, let's go to a Yankee game. You have more time. Yankee fans in the area, they have more time to, hey, let's go to a ball game tonight. Kids don't have to be at school, early the next day, all that jazz. So despite the Yankees' record and how they've been the last 30 plus games, they are crushing it right now in attendance. So does Hal Steinbrenner really get that upset? I don't know. You know why I think he got really upset last year? Partially because attendance dipped when the team absolutely collapsed last year in the second half like they are now. So at the end of the day, I don't know. And I have to see it. You know what? I'm not going to come on here and say the season's over when we haven't even had a trade deadline yet. We have no idea what they're going to do. But if they pull the same shit like they did last year at the trade deadline and just completely, did absolutely nothing of any of substance, they got 2 mid relievers at best. If they pull that crap again this year, it's over. It's over. You need to have a huge deadline where I'm sorry, but saying this is a lot, but where you need at least 4 or 5 impactful players, at least. You need a deadline like that. You need Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones to be available in trades. I don't want to part with Jason. I love Jason Dominguez. They actually said, too, he's going to begin a rehab assignment in AAA within the next week. So hopefully maybe he could be back by September. But, man, this team's got to make a playoff push. I mean, the way they're playing, they're playing themselves out of potentially not making the playoffs at this rate. I checked today. They had a 3.5-game lead in the wild card. And that's going to slowly keep dwindling if they keep playing like this. And now the AL East, we've probably fallen behind even further because Baltimore's been doing well out of the gate. We're a game and a half out of that, but I don't know how the Orioles did tonight. Let's see what the Orioles did. Oh, the Orioles lost. Okay. At least they lost 6-3 to the Marlins. But at the end of the day, I mean, we could have gained there. I mean, this is what pisses me off. Now you're going to have that same attitude. Oh, we're only a game and a half out. I'm sick of this crap, okay? You keep playing the way you're playing. Look, you have Boston that's heated up the last 30-plus games, okay? And, Baltimore has been legit all year. I mean, yeah, they lose this joke of a game to the Miami Marlins, but, yeah, it's going to happen. But the Orioles are solid. I mean, they have players all around that team that can hit. They have a little bit of pitching. They need to go out and get pitching, but they have the prospect depth to do that. The Yankees don't have that. They don't have that at all. They don't have the depth to go out and make a huge splash trade, honestly. And the Orioles, really, their weakness is pitching that they can go out and easily address if they want to. They have, the best farm system in baseball. So they can easily go out and do that. And they already have so much depth at the major leagues as it is on offense that they'll be fine. And, the Yankees don't have that. They don't have that. And it's really sad. And, now we have Juan Soto, only here for so many games left. And then he's going to go to free agency. The Mets are going to be in on him. It just, it really sucks. This is just an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke. It's a slap in the face to the fans. It's a slap in the face to the fans who are diehard, like myself, and pay money to go to the games and spend a lot of time watching the games and all this. It's a slap in the face. It really is. And I'm pissed off. I'm in a terrible mood. I'm really pissed. I'm really freaking pissed. And I hope there's some people in the Yankee space, in that organization that are pissed as much as I am. I really do. I really hope that. Do I believe it? No, not really, because just seeing the way this organization operates, you go out, you get the big fish in Juan Soto, but then you know, you just, you lose these kind of games, and then we hear the same regurgitated quotes from Aaron Boone. It's just the same thing, man. Yeah, and you have guys on this team that shouldn't even be on a big league roster. They should be in the minor leagues, in AAA. It's just, and they're getting quality reps. I mean, come on, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What happened to this team? This team started the year. We had deep October aspirations for this team, potential World Series run aspirations for this team, and it's completely fallen on its face. Everybody in this lineup has slumped. Look, I don't want to be negative the entire episode, but I'll say one positive thing. Anthony Volpe had a good game. He had a couple of hits, couple of base hits. He was 2 for 4. And Anthony, I want to give him credit because he's been hitting over 300 his last 7 games. He's hitting 346 his last 7 games. Home run, 4 RBI. So you hope that that's getting him out of his massive slump. Alex Verdugo had an RBI double. Ben Rice should have had a home run today. I mean, he crushed the ball. And they said it would have been out in like 16 or 17 ballparks. Trent Grisham hit a ball in the screws in that 9th inning off Deacom. That was 400 feet to center. You did have some shit luck, but at the end of the day, this team had plenty of chances with runners on scoring position to capitalize, and they didn't. They were 1 for 9 tonight with runners in scoring position. They had runners on second and third, less than 2 outs, couldn't do anything. They had runners on first and second, less than 2 outs, double play. They had a runner on second, less than 2 outs. They spoiled that. It's just the same crap, man. Pretty sure they had bases loaded too. They ruined that. I mean, it's just awful. It's just awful. It's just the same thing. Alex Verdugo bunts the runners over when there's first and second, and then you have Narvaez come up and he strikes out, and then you have LeMahieu doing what he typically does, grounds out. He was 1 for 4 today, but the guy can't get the ball in the air. You need a sac fly, and you can't even do that. I don't know, man. It's just so hard. I've honestly never been more angry about a Yankee game than I was tonight. And now the Mets could probably sweep us tomorrow, both series. It's just a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's I don't know. They need a press conference. They need Brian Cashman, or I don't want to see Aaron Boone's stupid face up there. I need to see either Brian Cashman or Hal Steinbrenner get in front of a podium and answer some tough questions. First of all, how do you build this team with over a $300 million payroll, where you have to start guys like Jahmai Jones and JD Davis? How does it get to that point? You want to cite injuries? Well, you know what? Build your team better. You have enough depth. You have over $300 million to work with, and you're telling me you're crying that you don't have enough depth. Oh, injuries, this, that. The same old excuse every year. And that you got to start these guys that shouldn't be on any roster in the major leagues. Are you kidding me? That's how you utilize your resources. I don't want to hear about Jason Dominguez coming back. And no, I don't want to hear that, because he's going to get back in September, and who knows? He's probably going to have to get his feet wet. He's been hurt multiple times this year. And the fact that you got to rely on one young, 21-year-old rookie to come up and save the day? Give me a break. That's a joke. With over a $300 million payroll. Unbelievable. It's just, there's no words. And Brian Cashman has had time to build this team, to build a true winner. He's had a window for at least 6+ years now. Dating back, 8 years. Dating back to Like, it kind of started in 2016. We started calling guys up. And then 2017 was when we made the real push, playing Houston. He's had all this time with the window wide open in the AL East to get the Yankees not just consistently winning the division, but getting them to a World Series. And he has failed countless times. And you want to bring up crap. You know what? That's why I'm sick, too, of hearing other GMs in Major League Baseball give Brian Cashman total props because the Yankees haven't been below 500 in over 25 years. When you have a payroll of over $300 million, I'm sorry, but I'm not giving you that much credit for that. I'm sorry. Look, I understand the Mets had that luxury too when Steve Cohen bought the team and they stunk. But look, Steve Cohen bought the team, and then he hired the biggest buffoons in Major League Baseball to run that team. And because he didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he's a baseball fan, but he's not a baseball kind of personnel guy, so he didn't really know what he was doing. And then he had to kind of, have someone in the organization show him how to do it. All right, this is who you hire. You go hire David Stearns. This is a guy who's dealt with a small market team and limited resources, and he knows how to build up a team. And it looks like he's doing an okay job at it so far. I mean, time will still tell how the Mets so-called rebuild goes. But right now, I mean, in this point of the season, they've turned it around. They're now 4 games above 500. They're now 52-48. And considering how bad they were to start the year, they're in a wild card chase right now. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, considering they didn't expect to make the playoffs at all this year, and that they're in it. I mean, kudos to them at least. But that's a GM that the Yankees, Brian Cashman, he's only had one job. It was at the Yankees. He's never had to go to a team like the Royals or the Athletics and not just rebuild the team, or the Rays, not just rebuild the team, but do it with a very limited budget. He's never had to do that. He's never had to do that. When the Yankees have needed to go out and spend a lot and be big players in the free agency market, they've done that. And they did that last year. I mean, this past year when they traded for Soto and are paying him what? Close to $30 million a year right now. So at the end of the day, if all of this continues to just fall on its face, like this entire season, you really, like I said last year, well, before I started this podcast, so you guys probably haven't heard it, but Brian Cashman's job needs to be called into question because this is just unbelievable that the fact that this guy cannot build a World Series caliber team since 2009. And look, in 2009, you want to give Brian Cashman credit for 2009? I'll tell you what about 2009. We had the core four, and the Yankees made a couple of great moves in free agency, and that was it. But to think that Cashman built up that team, no, he didn't build it up. It was Gene Michael. When the Yankees were rebuilding, when they were very bad, it was the 1980s, then early 90s, right? They stunk. And have you ever seen the Yankee documentary that came out, The Bronx Zoo? I've been watching it. I still got to watch one more episode on this latest season. I don't know if they're coming out with more or not. But anyway, they were awful. I mean, they were the laughing stock of the league. They lost a no-hitter. A guy in the Yankees in 1990, some guy pitched a no-hitter and the Yankees lost because they gave up a bunch of errors in the end. They stink. They were awful. They were a disgrace. But that's when they had like Stump Merrill as the manager. Think of that. You have a manager named Stump Merrill. But that was when the Yankees then they went all in on drafting and developing. And, that's the years to follow. You had, they drafted Bernie Williams and Tino and or not Tino, Jeter, Posada, the core four, Mariano. And they drafted and they really, they worked on that. And, George Steinbrenner, the true story is, because I've read the Yankees books and all that, The true story is George Steinbrenner, he wanted to trade Mariano Rivera for a shortstop on Seattle. I forget his name, but he wanted to trade Mo. And Gene Michael went to him and said, "No, yeah, you're not trading Mo. Mo Mariano wasn't an amazing prospect in the minor leagues, but then when he started working on his mechanics. His fastball velo really jumped, uh, and then he came up. He had his struggles, and that's then when he was throwing the bullpen. Then he discovered the cutter. Anyway, George Steinbrenner, who was always in win now mode, so he was like, "We got to trade any prospect, trade him." Gene Michael went to him and said, "No, you're not trading Mariano Rivera." Thank you, Gene Michael. Anyway, Gene Michael knew those guys. He developed them. He brought them up. Boom, you have the core four. You have the Yankees dynasty. It was all Gene Michael. Brian Cashman, in the middle of all that, came in as an intern. Well, he first came in as an intern, and then he was assistant GM. And then when all the core four was already up and the Yankees had their core dynasty already and were winning championships, then they named Brian Cashman the GM. So Brian Cashman, and it's funny too because Michael Kay loves to say, "Oh yeah, no, Brian Cashman was involved in all those draftings of the core four and the Yankees dynasty." No, he wasn't. He at the most of it, he was the assistant GM. The assistant GM is the advisor to the general manager. He's not the one pulling the strings. Okay, he's the one sitting there, and the GM is in his ear telling him like, "I'm going to do this," and like, "What do you think? Give me your thoughts." Like, it's not like Brian Cashman wasn't pulling the strings. Okay, and by the time Brian Cashman got there, Gene Michael was already well into this, starting to draft these guys, and Brian Cashman just kind of followed his lead. He was the assistant GM. Okay. So assistant GM's not the one making the final decision. All right. So Gene Michael gets all the credit for that. And then you go into 09, and you still have those guys. Yeah, they're older, but they're still contributing at a high level. You have Jeter, you have Posada, you have Mo, and then the Yankees made out and credit to Brian Cashman's credit. They signed AJ Burnett. They signed Sabathia. They brought Johnny Damon in. So they made some good signings and good moves. But, that's the only credit he gets for those couple good signings that helped push them to a World Series. Signing Matsui, that was it. All right, he didn't. Brian Cashman was not the reason the Yankees were a dynasty team. People that say that, they're so dead wrong. They're just not accurate. And I love Michael Kay, but the only reason Michael Kay says it is because he works for the Yankees, and he'll bash the Yankees. Michael Kay will bash the Yankees, but there's a fine line. Michael Kay will not cross a certain threshold because he knows he pays a salary. Yes Network, Yankees own Yes Network, so he can bash the Yankees, but there's a certain line he won't cross. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Still love Michael Kay though. Anyway, that's my entire point. My entire point is we haven't had a manager since Gene Michael has gone, okay, we need to really reevaluate things here, and we need to really consider rebuilding. The Yankees did like that whole retooling thing in 2016. Didn't work. Okay, most of those prospects turned out to be duds that they got in those deals. Or not all of them. Clint Frazier, Justin Sheffield, the list goes on and on. Okay, so at the end of the day, they've really blown it here. And if they don't get it done this year, that's it. They're done. So I'm tired of just hearing the same excuses. Show me, at the very minimum, go out and have a deadline and fix these core issues. Because at the end of the day, it's not, it's just not gonna. It's insane. Well, let me see if I can find some of these stupid quotes. Let's you know what? Just for shits and giggles, okay? Let's see what Aaron Boone has to say. Aaron Buffoon has to say on the Yankees game tonight. It's crazy. Luke Weaver came in the top of the eighth, get out of a huge jam with the bases loaded, striking out Tyrod Taylor, but it went to waste, because our lineup just didn't do anything of substance. So, shout out to Luke Weaver. He's been great this year. He's been great. Kept the game at 1, kept it at 3-2, and Talking Yanks actually has him listed as the top performer, Luke Weaver. Yeah, that's right. Gave us hope. Yeah, that summarizes it. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's no excuse, and it's just how Nick Turturro released a tweet. He said, "Can't even beat the little brother Mets. I retire from the shit." Yeah, that's right. Can't even beat the little brother Mets. It's unbelievable. It's just. I'm with you, Nick. I'm with you. Nick is a huge actor. He's been in some of the Adam Sandler movies. He's a big Yankee fan. I see his tweets and him raging, and I'm right there with you, dude. The only reason I can't scream as much tonight and get his animes is because it's late and I'm in an apartment. People are sleeping, so whatever. It's just, but I'm disgusted. I'm stunned that we are at this point, and you look at the records. Last year, our first half record was great. Then we sucked in the second half, and it's been that same trend if you look at all the data and all the statistics for the last 3 to 4 years at least. And again, Aaron Boone, look who's still the manager. Aaron Boone, this freaking idiot, and and then some people say, you know what, if you fire Aaron Boone, it's not going to change anything because they'll just go out and they'll hire another Boone. You know what? You're probably right. You're probably right. It's probably an organizational philosophy to hire someone as stupid as Aaron Boone that'll literally just sit there and do whatever you say. Do whatever you say, but then also make the stupid decisions and agree with you about doing them because A, he's either that stupid, or B, he just doesn't want to lose his job and he's a pushover, or C, it's a little bit of both, which I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think they talked to Aaron about it. I think they get in his head. They convince him. But Aaron Boone, he's a freaking idiot. This guy, it's not like this guy was like a bench coach or a hitting coach. And he played in the major leagues. He hit a big home run as a Yankee. And that was it. That's all he did. It doesn't mean just because you were a Major League Baseball player doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager. Even if you were a great Major League Baseball player like Derek Jeter, doesn't mean you're going to be a good manager. Okay? You have guys that weren't good Major League Baseball players, but they were good managers. They just had good baseball IQ. Aaron Boone is not one of those people. Or if he is, he clearly doesn't care to be one because he just goes with the flow. And he just, you know what? Every time I get behind that mic, there's always an excuse. Look, you guys may have not liked Joe Girardi. Okay, I didn't like Joe Girardi. I couldn't stand Joe Girardi sometimes in terms, with the bullpen management with Joe. It was kind of hard to watch. But we're watching Aaron Boone do that right now. I mean, come on, let's be honest. We kind of got it lucky with Joe. Aaron, it's atrocious. He has no idea how to manage a bullpen. And then you go up and you see these stupid quotes where he just constantly defends and defends and defends. Seems like he never calls the guy out. And this is what we got to live with. I mean, at the end of the day, look, the thing about Joe, you didn't have to like Joe Girardi. But A, he won a World Series with the Yankees. He actually got us there. Okay, Aaron Boone hasn't even got us there. So that's why they bring up all this BS about, Aaron Boone has the third highest winning percentage in all the history of Major League managers. I don't give a crap about that. Ask next how many World Series appearances he's made. Zip. 0. I don't care about winning percentage. Okay, when you have over a $300 million payroll and your team is always making moves and trying to win, okay, I don't care about winning percentage. Did you get me to the World Series at a bare minimum? No, you didn't, because you're incompetent and they do the same thing over and over again. And let me throw this to you. Joe Girardi, and you can look this up, Joe Girardi got fired by the New York Yankees because he was too tough on the players. Gary Sanchez had his head up his ass and would not hustle and have pass balls get by him, and he would not run after them. Joe Girardi would get in his face. Joe Girardi would sit him down, and Yankee front office personnel, whoever, didn't like that, and they fired him. They fired him. And you want to know something else? Joe's with the team for 10 years. And last year, when they asked the Yankees, they asked Brian, it was either Cashman or Fishman, who's like the assistant GM. They asked one of them, Aaron Boone, his contract's going to be up. Is he going anywhere? And they said, Girardi was here for 10 years. I would expect Boone to be here for that long as well. That's what they said. That's what they said. So Aaron Boone is not going anywhere. He is not going anywhere. And Aaron Boone was hired in 2018 for 2018. He's been with the Yankees since 2018. So he'll be here till at least 2028. He ain't going anywhere. I'm sorry. He's not going anywhere. So, and that's what Yankee management said. Like, look, Joe's been here for 10 years. Boone's going to be here at least that long. That's what they said. That's what they said. I remember when that quote came out. I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. So it's not like this season can end. And unless the Yankees have a colossal downfall, he's not going anywhere. There's no way. So where's the hope at the end of the tunnel? It's the trade deadline. That's it. And if they don't do anything there of substance, then I will come on here and I will say the season is over. We're done. Anyway, that's it. Look, I know you have the highs and lows of a year, but this has gone on long enough. And it just sucks because baseball really fools you. Sometimes you think you have it, and this is the team. And other times, then you're in stretches like this, maybe not even this bad. And you're like, why do I just keep getting played a fool? And I don't know. I'm never going to be one of those people that say, oh, yep, it's over until it's over. But I will tell you this, if they don't have a good deadline, everybody can say it's over. And I'll come on here and I'll say that because it's true. But you can't say that yet until the deadline. But, man, it's just feel like I'm getting played every single year by this team. It's just same thing, man. It's just, it's like they're like, you know what I make the comparison that they are? They're the Dallas Cowboys of the MLB. And that's not surprising to anybody. You watch the Cowboys, you watch the Yankees, same deal. So, anyway, that's it. And let's hope the Yankees don't get swept by the Mets because both series in a row, they'd be swept if they lose tomorrow. Unfucking real. Absolute embarrassment. And wake up, Yankee management. Wake up, Aaron Boone. Maybe the captain can hold not a press conference, but, talk to these guys in the locker room. Give a speech. Do something. Do something to change this freaking energy. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of watching this night after night. This bland, just uninspiring play. Like they don't even want to be there. Sick of it. Have a good night, everybody.